Masechta Chullin, Daf Nun Amar Aleph. We're starting from Memtes Amar Beis. We're starting from the words Amar Rav Nachman. You have the place, yeah?
Yes.
Here we go. Here. Amar Rav Nachman. Chelev ha'asui kikoiva. The fats that's covering over the stomach, the intestines, if it's made like a hat, so even if it's Chelev Torah, we said before yesterday, Chelev Torah, you were there by this year yesterday? Chelev Torah.
Where was it? The Shtibel? No.
No, it was by Shenshul.
It was by Shenshul? So how come I didn't get the Ayeka?
I didn't give it, I had somebody else give it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
So
that's why I asked if
I did it earlier with my son.
I saw a different video. That's why I thought maybe you already went
Right.
upstate or to Sorrel or something.
No. Oh, Chelev Torah. So he says Chelev Torah, we learned yesterday something's more adhesive. It's more of a stick seal, more of a sealer. But he says if it's here, it's talking about it was like a hat, so part of it doesn't seal well. Heicha, where's this chelev? Says the Gemara, Amallah chitidei kakashta. This chelev is by the rectum, and over there you have around the rectum the chelev is made like balls of wheat. He says like little balls of fats that it can't not really seal the hole. Others say it's the chelev that goes around the heart, and there too, it's not a good. It's not something that can seal off a hole. Rabba says, I heard from Rav Nachman two things: the two fats that go on the inside, chimtza or bar chimtza. There's chimtza and bar chimtza. One of them seal off the holes of the intestines, and one doesn't. I don't know which one. Had said, Bar Chimtza, the Bar Chimtza does seal off. Chimtza loy sasin, the Chimtza doesn't. Stronger is the Koich Lasan.
Always?
That's the saying.
Right.
So what do we want to bring out? We want to bring out the Bar Chimtza is the more stronger one that can seal off the
puncture, what
the hole in the intestines.
Right. That
and therefore,
doesn't matter from what?
We don't care if it's sealed. It's going to be kosher.
It's good.
Yeah, you know the famous story with that they said that they needed somebody. They're not going to bury this mace unless they have some praise. So they said about this person, you think he was so bad. It's not so bad. His son is even worse. Right. So they buried him. Then the son dies. The mafia caught up with him and killed him. Well, now what are we going to do with the son? They said the son is worse. And the son has a schus because in his honor they buried his father. Perfect. Okay. Which is chimtza mitzvah? So Tashma coming here, I'll answer you. Rav Nachman had said, Inu meichel ochli. He says the Bnei Eretz Yisrael eat this chelev, and because this chelev is tahor, it must be a good adhesive, right? It says they don't miss them, but us in the Bnei Bavel, we say that it doesn't help even to seal off the nekev, even though because we consider the chelev tamei. L'chol hapach is okay, even though we consider it tamei, it should at least help to seal it because Bnei Eretz Yisrael eat it. If they eat it, go one level lower that we don't eat it, but say it's a good seal. Says the Gemara. That's what. So on this, Rav Nachman said that Itaka helps. That since in Bnei Eretz Yisrael they eat that chelev,
right,
and us we don't because we say it's tamei. But if the Bnei Eretz Yisrael can eat it, we'll go a notch down, but in Bnei Bavel we won't eat it, but we'll say it's a good seal. Okay, so the Gemara says, which chelek is the part they're arguing about? The Akashta, the Bnei Bavel and Bnei Eretz Yisrael are arguing. So what are they arguing? The Akashta, so there's two types. Look, here you have the picture right there. The Akashta, so you see, here's the intestines.
Yeah.
And look at the white part that goes around.
Akashta, yeah.
Well, you know what keshes means? A bow.
Okay.
So look how it's like a bow. Look how round it goes.
Yeah.
The chelev over here goes like a bow. And then you have Aryasa. Yasa was I Torah is like the straight line here. Or he calls it Yisa.
Right.
So you have the straight line and you have the keshes. Kuli Amalei Pligi, the round part that looks like a bow, everybody agrees to asa. Everybody agrees it's going to be asa. Why? Because it doesn't seal well, right?
Yeah.
It says Yamada keep Pligi. Where are they arguing? The Yitra. The Yitra is the straight line. It's like the string of the bow. You have the string, the straight line, and then you have the bow, the round part. So the Yitra is the straight line. So he says there, everybody. That's where they're arguing if it seals well or not. So why would I say it's mutter to eat or asa to eat? Which chelev becomes asa? Yesterday we said there's a machlekes. If you need 3 criteria, that it should be considered as part of the mizbeach, which makes it asa to eat, or only 2. So one man said you need 3. You need it should cover like a curtain, a drape over the fats. That's how it should cover over the fats. And then it should be a membrane and easy to peel off. So if it has those 3, then it's usher.
Okay.
If it doesn't have the draping over it, then it's mutter. And another man says, no, all you need is that it should have a membrane and easy to pull off. So but if it has a drape, it's going to be mutter. So that's what they're arguing about. So here he brings down the Bnei Eretz Yisrael hold that it's mutter. Why is it mutter? Because it doesn't have the drape, the full drape over it. So they say if it doesn't have the full drape, it's not for the mizbeach. So it's not for the mizbeach. It's not us, so you can eat it. They hold like Rabbi Akiva. The Yisrael Chilin is only if you have all 3 criterias, and since it doesn't have the drapery part, therefore it's going to be mutter to eat. The Bnei Bavel hold no, you don't need the drapery part to be pater. Just the membrane and easy to peel off makes it asa. And that's why the Bnei Bavel say it's asa. Others say that the ayitra on the straight line, everybody agrees that it's mutter because it seals off well and it's not draped. Right? It's a good seal and it's not draped. Sai b'nei Bavel, Sai b'nei Eretz Yisrael hold like Rabbi Akiva that if it's not draped over it, it's going to be mutter. Keep pligid akashta. Where are they arguing? When it has the bow tie. If it's shaped like a bow. The b'nei Eretz Yisrael hold since it's sealed in the middle of the keva, since the middle of the intestines it's sealed. So therefore, it's not going to be considered draped, and it's mutter. And the Bnei Bavel say this is still considered as a drape because part of it is not being sealed, and since part of it is not being sealed, therefore it's usher. Okay, it says like Rav Avi said the name of Rabbi Ami, who was from Eretz Yisrael. He says mekamtsin. All you have to do is peel off a little bit. From the fats that's sitting on the heter, from above, and since the chelev of the carev is sitting on the intestines, so you can eat the rest. He says it's mutter. All you have to do is peel off a little bit of the chelev that's on the fats, and then you're fine. I was standing once before Rabbi Ami. It comes to, they removed a little bit from the chelev that was on the innards from above, and he gave him the rest of the chelev to eat. The rest of the chelev that was on the yes, he told him just to remove a little bit. The shamish of Rabbi Chanina was standing before Rabbi Chanina. Amalei, Rabbi Chanina said, "K'meitz, havli deichel." Remove a little bit of the chelev that's on the intestines from above, and give me the rest of the fats, so that I can eat it. Chazia, Rabbi Kamachasi. Rabbi Chanina saw the shamish is hesitant. Amalei, Rabbi Chanina said, "Bavlat, you're probably from Bavel, who has a minig that the chelev that's on the innards or the intestines are usher, and that's why you're holding back from giving it to me. So he says, Gum Shnei, cut out the whole chaylev and throw it out. He told him. Tanya, we learned in the Brayos that the innards that were punctured and the pus that comes out sealed it. It's kosher. What's this mucus that you're talking about? Pus. It's the pus that's in the innards that come out through the cutting of the knife. So when you pressure it, the pus comes out. Give me the Chavraya Rabbi Abba. The Chaverim of Rabbi Abba accepted Rabbi Abba this halacha. Umanu, that what? That if you press with the knife and pus comes out and seals the hole, it's a good sealer. And he says, Umanu, who are the Chaverim of Rabbi Abba that learned from him the Shmo? Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Allah, Chavraya Rabbi Zera. It's the Chaverim of Rabbi Zera that were mekabel from Rabbi Zera this halacha. Umanu, who are the Chaverim of Rabbi Zera? Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Chiya, Rabbi Abba, Hachi Amar Rabbi Chiya, Rabbi Abba Amar Rabbi Yechden. Halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil by Treifa, Halacha Rabbi Shimon Bevo. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil by Treifa. That what? That when you the mucus that comes out through pressuring the knife and it seals the hole, it's a good seal. And the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon by Avelis. Says Gemara, Halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil by Treifa, the Amaran. This thing that Allah is like him by Treifa is what we just mentioned. That is the mucus that comes out, or the pus that comes out and seals off the hole, is kosher by the innards. And this that Rabbi Yechon said the halach is like Reb Shimon be'eva mai. Which halach is he talking about? Says Gemara the time that we learned in the Mishnah Kol Shlish Hayom HaRishonim. The first 3 days of Avelas, Bam and Makan Karev. If one came from a close place. So he didn't know about that. Immediate family passed away.
Right.
If it's in the first 3 days and he came in the second or third day, he continues to count with them. He doesn't start from the beginning. If he came from a far distance, but then he has to count on his own. But from after 3 days, the first 3 days you're not allowed to say Shalom Aleichem. You're not allowed to start the conversation. He has to start the conversation.
For what? For Chiyuv?
By 7 days in the morning.
Oh, right.
First 3 days you don't open. They have to open their mouths. After 3 days, it's much more lenient. So he says over here, the first 3 days, if the guy came, a family member came, he didn't know that someone passed away, a sister passed away, a brother.
This was before the internet.
Right. This is before the internet. He came and they say, hey, you don't know that your brother dropped.
Right.
So he starts counting with them. If they're up to the third day, he goes 4, 5, 6, 7, he's finished. What about after the 3 days and he comes from a far place? One second, he comes from a close place. I feel about the Makam Karev, he has to already start counting one, not with 3 or 4 with them. If he came on the 4th day, he has to start from 1. Even if he came at the 7th day, if he came from a close area, he counts the 7th day as the 7th and he gets up right away. One of the Talmidim, which his name is not known, had said, when he heard these halachas that Rabbi Abba, B'nai Shor, Rabbi Chiya, Rabbi Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yechon, Eske v'esek. He says, Halavai, I would merit and go up to Eretz Yisrael. And I would learn it directly from Rabbi Abba, the son of Rabbi Chiya, Rabbi Abba. So if the halach is good like Rabbi Shimon or not, Kisolik, when Itaka came out, he came up to Eretz Yisrael, he found the exact person who he wanted to always hear from his mouth himself. Amalei, he said the source. Amalei, he said to Rabbi Abba, he says, Amama, halach Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil b'Treifa. Did you actually say that halach is like Rabbi Shimon by Treifa when the mucus comes out and seals the hole? It's a good seal. Amalei, so Rabbi Abba said, this ain't halacha. I said, Amri. He said, the halacha is not like him. Says, Rabbi Shimon ben Abba Mai. What did you say about by Avelis, this halacha that we learned? That Rabbi Shimon said that even if he comes on the 7th day, if he's coming from a close area, that he could easily have come there the first day. If he came to the seventh day, who says you don't have to count anymore? Is the halacha like him? Amalei plukta ninu. That's a machlokes, the Itna that we had learned. Rav Chisda Amar. Rav Chisda says that what is that? Rav Chisda had said that the halacha is like Rab Shimon, that even if he came on the seventh day, he doesn't have to start counting. And so did Rabbi Yochanan say, halacha, that the halacha is like Rab Shimon. Rav Nachman ain't halacha. Rav Nachman said the halacha is not like Rab Shimon. Says the Gemara of ain't halacha Rab Shimon ben Gamliel b'Treifa. The halacha is not like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel by Treifa, but the halacha Rab Shimon ben Evel. When it comes to Avinus, we say the halacha is like him, and we are lenient. Shmuel said the halacha to be amekel be'evel. The halacha is like the one that's lenient by Avelis. And the Rebbe says that when one is mekel for the Avelis, it's better for the neshama. It's more lenient for the neshama as well. So it's good to be more lenient when it comes to Avelis. That you can compare one hole in the intestines to another. Let's say you don't know when the hole happened. Did it happen before the shechita or after the shechita? And you see a hole there. So you make another hole and you see the color. If it's similar colors, you know it happened after the shechita. Because look, I made just now a hole, and that hole over there is the same color. So there was a story. There was these intestines that were brought before Rava. They started to compare it. They puncture another hole. It's a different color. The son of Rava came, and he says, let me do something. Let me, all the Rabbanim are all touching with their fingers. Let me do as if the Rabbanim touched it a couple of times. Let me go, Rabbi Balkani touched it. Rabbi Amalo, let me do 4 or 5 Rabbanim touches. Let me see what it looks like now. Rabbi Wordy, yeah. So what happened over here? Perfect, 100%. So what happened? He did it a couple of times. Now it looks exactly the same. Oh, so Amalei, his father says to him, no, how did you figure this out? Amalei, he says, so many hands were touching this place, so I had to do something similar. Amalei, so Rava said, Chakembri, my son, you're a genius. Betreifis, Kimei Rabbi Yochanan, you're so well versed like Rabbi Yochanan. Your mind works geniusly when it comes to tapes like Rabbi Yochanan. So a similar din, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar, Amit Havai. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar, they both had said, Makif Mereya, that you can compare a hole that you see in the reya, you don't know in the lungs, and you don't know if it happened before the shechita or after the shechita. Right. Puncture another hole after the shechita, and you see if the colors are the same. You can do that. Only in that same wall of the reya. If you remember, the reya has 3 flaps, 2 flaps. On the right there's 3, if it's hanging this way. On the right there's 3, on the left there's 2. Then you have 2 big ones which are called umeis. And then you have the wall of the reya, the outside wall. So he says it has to be the same wall. If there was a hole, you have to be in the same area to make a puncture another hole to say it's similar. Says it has to be in the same wall of the reya. But if it's one wall to another wall of the reya, you can't check out the similarity. Or even if it's from one wall to another, or medaka ledaka, or from one flap to another flap. He says from one the bigger flaps on the bottom.
It's like a 1031 exchange. Got to be exact type.
Yeah. Let me just see if I have the picture of the flaps here.
Right.
Here you have 3. It has to be one flap to another, but these are the smaller flaps. You can't take one from here and measure it against the big flap, which is called umma.
So what's that called? Minumin? It's got to be.
Megasa legasa means from one big one, the bottom ones, to the other one, from one umma to the other. Or if you want to say medaka ledaka, it means from one ear-like lobe to another lobe on the top, the smaller ones to the smaller ones. You can't measure from the umma, the bigger one, make a puncture hole and say, oh, it's similar. It doesn't go like that. To the lobe on the top. It has to be between the lobes or between the ummais. Between the unes or between the ummais. They both had said, Makif Mekana, that you could, in the ear pipe, in the trachea, you can measure by puncturing another hole in the trachea. Papa loy amon ella beisa chulya chulya loy. You remember that? Look, we said a chulya is three around the trachea, around the pipe. You have these chulyas, these like air conditioner hose around it. No, this is it. It goes around the trachea.
Okay.
The trachea is a pipe that goes in there, but it's surrounded by these rings. Every 3 rings is called a chulya. So he says, within the chulya, within 3 rings, you could puncture another hole to measure against that hole. From one chulya, from 3 rings to the next 3 rings, you can't do that. Nish. Yes. Now, luckily, is even from one section of 3 rings to another, you could puncture and compare it. But in bar choya, meaning bar choya, he says choya has these air conditioner vents.
Yeah.
They're thick on the top and thin on the bottom. So he says mechuya lechuya good. Mi bar choya.
From the thin to the thick
From
part.
here's the thin, the bar choya to the choya, which is the thicker part, you cannot measure. So he says, on this side, from one side to one side, or from one side to here, the thicker side on the thicker side, you can measure one against the other. The thinner side, one against the other on the thinner side. You cannot have a puncture of the hole in the thicker side and measure from a puncturing a hole on the thinner side. That is the rectum. Shenikra, that had a hole, shade that's going to be kosher. Since the thighs are keeping it secure, nothing's going to happen with that puncture in the rectum.
Yeah.
The rectum has 2 thighs around it, and it has the spine. It's surrounded by a whole bunch of bones. It has the 2 thighs. Here's the chalchelis. Here you have the spine above it. Here you have the thigh. It's all secure. So he says, since it's surrounded by the bones, it's protected. How much is it going to be? How much of the rectum will we say is going to be kosher? As long as the hole is in the place where it's being secured. Berube, the shear is berube. If he made a hole, berube, that's the majority of it is the shear is good. But what's if it's not? If there was a hole punctured, but in a place where it's not being surrounded by the thigh bones and the thigh bones, says the amount of mashal. Then b'mashal, even a little puncture is going to make a tray from the chalchelis. So the chalchelis means in the rectum. Amru Rabban Kamei the Rabban Mashmei the Rav Nachman. Ama lava mi amina lechu. Have I not told you like tislu bay? Don't say things that Rav Nachman buki siki, empty jugs. Meaning, don't say words that don't make sense in the name of Rav Nachman. That Rav Nachman said it. Hachi Amar Rav Nachman. This is what Rav Nachman said. Makma davei, in the place where the rectum is sealed off by the thighs. I feel in little kulay kosher. Even if not just right was removed, but even if all of that part of the rectum was removed, it's kosher. As long as there's a little bit that you can hold on to. You know, they say you cut your hair, but you have a little bit of a tfisa with your finger. Stem. So it's,
Stem.
Yeah, stem. But a tfisa means a little that you should be able to hold on to. So he says that's how much of the rectum has to be left over. The kama, like the width of a finger. That's betayra. That's by a big ox. Kozman, that you have a finger width of the rectum in the place where it's being held by the thighs, the behemoth is going to be kosher. Akeres hapnimi, remember there was 4 stomachs in the animal. Akeres hapnimi is the first stomach. Amar Rav Yehuda. So we said if it got punctured or most of the outside was ripped, then it's treif. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Nassan was the head butcher in Tzipayre, or the head shachtim of Tzipayre. He testified, Lefnei Rabbi, Mishum Rabbi Nassan, in front of Rabbi in the name of Nosnei Zeu Keres Hapnimi. What is the inner stomach that we just spoke about? That if it got punctured, it's going to be treif. Sanya Dive. It's the part that the bears would never touch. This is the part. Why? Because there, because the garbage is there,
Right.
and it never moves out there. It doesn't go around the system, so it has a bad stench and probably it's rotten. And that's why they wouldn't even touch it. Rabbi Shimon ben Koch. So Rabbi Shimon ben Koch said, "What is the inner stomach? Sanya Divi. That part that you have, Sanya Divi. That's where the garbage is."
Okay.
Rabbi Shmuel Amar, no, is Tomcha de Karsa. His stomach, look how it's the stomach of the Karsa. It smells like a stomach. But here Rashi says that She'einu Yadei Ma'o. I don't know what it is. Okay. It doesn't say thank you. He says that's what it is. Ravasi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Tzoy Yesh Bakeres. A third opinion. So far we have the place where the bears hate. The other one is we don't know what it is. It's called Istam Kadab Karsa. And Ravasi Amar Rabbi Yochanan says it is the narrow part.
This is all in the
first stomach. The first stomach. We don't know exactly where is the first stomach. One says it means the place where the bears ate. The other one says the stomach is stomach of the karsa. Vasi says it's the place where it narrows in the stomach. I don't know which narrowing he's talking about. I'm not Rabbi Yitzchak. It's listen. What the karas falls in the bayah, meaning you don't know where it is. So what'd you help me? You didn't help me anything. But I'll explain you what Rabbi Yochanan meant. It means, so it means the place where it reaches to the neck.
Yeah.
If I'm turned upside down, let's say I'm the behemoth. So it means till the neck, so that's where it narrows down, till the trachea, or till the food pipe. Rabbi Yaakov, here we have, that was which opinion? How many do we have? 3 so far. Rabbi Yaakov bar Nachmani Amar Shmuel.
Key word so far. 3.
Yeah. The fourth one is that it's what is the keres hapnimi mekoin shein by melas. It's the part where there isn't the furry part on it. There's no. It feels like wool. So he says till the part where there's no, as long as there's no
hide.
No, the hide has
inside?
like, well, it's inside. Yeah, the keres on the inside till. He says, the part of the keres that doesn't have the furry part in it. That's the stomach.
Okay.
Rabbi Avina Amar, another day, this is the 5th. Geniv Mishmei Rav. Tefach, the last Tefach, Bavesh, at something like keres. The last Tefach of the food pipe. Mm-hmm. So that Tefach, right before the stomach, on the food pipe, that's the inner keres, he calls it. Amarava, Mishmei Rabbi Yaisi, Rabbi Chanina said, "Kol hakares kol izui keres hapnimi." So the whole stomach is the keres. The whole first stomach is the keres hapnimis. Zeu hakares hachitzon. What does it mean if the whole stomach? We said that keres. Yeah. There's an outer part, but you're saying all of the keres is pnimi. So what's the outer keres? If everything is pnimi, he says habasa hachoifa seva keres. The meat, the flesh that covers over the stomach. That's called the chitzoni. Rabbi Rav Huna says mifrata. Says what is that? My mifrata. The place where the butchers open up first. Right. By the kishkis. That's the place. That's the keres hapnimi. B'nahada of the Rabbi Rav Huna. In Nahada they did like Rabbi Rav Huna. That the mafrata, the place where they open up first, that's the keres hapnimi. What about all those other people that said that it's that different places are the keres hapnimi? All the opinions are included in Rabbi Bar Avuna. Says what about Rabbi Asi, who said the name of Rabbi Yochanan that it's the place where it narrows down to the food pipe, and he says he doesn't know where it is. If he doesn't know where it is, right? So you have to worry. It's you can't say it's the mafrata. He says he doesn't know where it is. I'm like Farpesha Ravach Ava, but Ravach Ava says we do know where it is. He says it's by a tefach of the trachea right before. I'm sorry, tefach of the food pipe right before the stomach. What about Rabbi Avina, who says that it's not. I'm sorry, where not is the chelek. Amalek Fapish Ravach where it narrows down right before the trachea. He says that area where it narrows down, that is the place of the Keres HaPnimi. Says the Gemara. So we know that place is included in the stomach, like like Rab Bar Avuna. What about the Rabbi Avinu made Ma'aravamai? They said that it's a tefach of the food pipe. Right? That was one opinion. The bottom of the food pipe, the tefach on the bottom of the food pipe. And the Bnei Eretz Yisrael say that it's the whole stomach. So there are parts that are not included in just in the Kishka part where you open up, meaning like Rabbi Bar Avona. So he says, Amalei Hani Vadi Pliga. You're right. These two argue with Rabbi Bar Avona. But the rest are included in Rabbi Bar Avona. Rabbi Yehuda says, Bigadela by a big animal, like an ox. So how much does the rib have to be in the outer part of the stomach? That should be considered treifa? A tefach. It doesn't have to be the majority, just a tefach. By a small animal like a calf, the shear is going to be the majority of the keres. Even if the majority is less than a tefach. This that Rabbi Yehuda said it means a big animal, it doesn't mean Gedolah Mamash. It doesn't mean the biggest animals, but like Ketana, and when it says Ketana, it doesn't mean Ketana Mamash, a small animal. It means that anything that's ripped from the stomach, out of stomach, a tefach, and it's not the majority of the stomach, well, let's say it's more than 2 tvachim, it's 2 tvachim even, it's not going to be a majority of the stomach, that's where we learn tefach. And anything that's majority of the stomach that was cut, and there isn't a shear of the tefach, so even if it's meaning it's less than 2 tvachim, that's the pshat. B'ktana means that the stomach, if you did roiv and it's less than a tefach, says that's called ktana and it's a good shear to make it treif. Gedolah means that it has a big stomach, it's more than 2 tvachim. Right. So when you rip a tefach, even though it's not majority, that makes it treif. That's what it means, big and small. It says you want to ruba below you have a tefach pshita, of course. If it's roiv and it's not a tefach, of course, what does he come to? Why does Rabbi Yehuda have to teach us that? If it's roiv, for sure it's going to be possible. Because we say ruba is kikula. It's as if the whole thing was torn. It says that Rabbi Yehuda is saying it's come to teach us that even in a case where he rips the keres, the outer keres, a little bit more than roiv, then he would reach the shear of a tefach. He says he doesn't have to reach the tefach, even though it's just whip a little bit more and then it will be tefach. We say it's going to be trek. I would have thought, he's just a drop away from the tefach. I would have thought, unless it's a tefach, but if it's not a tefach, lo yavi teifa, till he rips a tefach, it's not teifa, till he actually rips a tefach. Rabbi Yehuda has come to teach us not so. Even in such a behema, it's treif when the rave of the stomach, outer stomach, was ripped. If the stomach was ripped out in a round hole like the size of a coin seller, treifa. Because if you take the round and you pull it this way, it'll end up to be a seller. If you pull it out in a straight line, it'll be the size of a tefa. To me, it was explained from the mouth of Geneva himself. that this is the mucker. What's the mucker? That if the neck of his kisela is like the size of a behema, meaning the kisela, the size of a sela, the size of a coin, if the hole is the size of a coin of a sela, shade it's going to be kosher. Mi kisela, but if it's bigger than the size of a sela, it's going to be treifa. That means the size of a sela itself is still kosher. Only if it's bigger than the size of a sela. What does it mean? What's that share? A little bit more than the size of this coin of a seller. Rav Yosef going to Island Plus Kashyasa, that you could put 3 date pits through that hole. Betzipa, if even while they're covered with the fruit on the pit. Bedeichako.
Okay.
No, the date has food on it. The pit is naked. But he says even with the food on it. Bedeichako, but it can go in only through hardship. Or beloy tzipa, or without, if it's the pit naked, just smooth, berafcha, then it can go in berevach. Then it can go in smoothly. That's the shear to make it treif. Okay, of the shear of a seller.